Hi everyone, Nick here. Today we're looking at the fourth weekly event on F1 2019, and as it's the German Grand Prix in real life, we'll do the weekly event at the German Grand Prix too. It is slightly annoying because the Esports qualifier was also at Germany, so both of this week's events are at the same track, but hey, what are you going to do? It's topical at least. So, quick look at the leaderboard before we start to see what kind of times the top guys are doing. So, the top is a 110.5, very quick. Somehow doubt that I'm going to be doing any lap times anywhere close to that. But if I could get within, I don't know, a second or two, I'd be happy with that. In terms of the actual session itself, I decided to be ambitious with the difficulty levels. So after doing 103 difficulty in my esports qualifier, I figured I'd do the same here. It's the same track. And how hard could it be? Well, the answer was a little bit too difficult for my liking. I was able to do the practice sessions and get purple scores in terms of things like managing my EOS, but I couldn't do the times and I was having to push really hard, as you can see from that silly crash coming out of the last corner. A wet end to practice 1 didn't really help matters. I still managed to get a purple in terms of energy saved, but was 3 seconds off the pace, so not much good there. And when I tried it again in practice 2, I ended it in the same way as practice 1, in the wall. Not going well, as you can see. I did manage to do a little bit better in other ones though. Fuel saving, I got a green, so that's not too bad. On the tyre saving, I managed to get a purple, almost saving the entirety of the purple bar in the last corner, so that's quite good. But when I did the qualifying simulation, that knocked my confidence slightly, as I was 1.1 seconds off the pace and estimated position of 20th. Ouch. I did manage to do the ERS one though in the end, so that was a nice little boost before the end of P3. And as you can see, I managed to do most of the sessions apart from qualifying pace, so I got 410 competition points. Lovely. Into qualifying then, another short lap, so I managed to get lots of qualifying laps in. My first lap was a 112.8 and was alright, but again I knew I could do better and I promptly did beat that by almost a quarter of a second with a 112.590. My third lap was even better still. Just shaved a little bit off in the final sector to do a 112.5 and then instantly invalidated in my next lap, so it was all down to my final run. So let's have a look at the Hockenheim ring. First corner, down to 6th, tap on the brakes. I reckon you could possibly get through there a little bit quicker, maybe not braking, but I can't. Brake here just after 100 metres. Ideally don't lock up, but you go through there in second gear, and the idea is to get out of that corner as soon as possible and onto the throttle and down this straight. And as you can see, top right hand corner, I'm already 1.5 tenths up. So, hairpin, 100 metres, just a little bit before that, get your braking done before you start turning, down into first gear, accelerate carefully out of there because it's very easy to floor it and spin. This corner's really tricky, brake just before that path on the right hand side starts, go down into third, and then try and go left as much as possible there. You can go flat through there in time trial, and if you're really brave. Here my recording skips, don't know why. Here we go through that corner in third gear, and then the last 2 corners are all about patience. Brake, go into fourth gear, wait until you know you can floor it, and then again lift off, wait until you can floor it, and then get down that pit straight. And we have done a 112.241. And I thought I could do slightly better, but I wasn't going to get the chance because AI decided to do that. Grid penalty for Calabresi, please, stewards. But you can see top left hand corner that this is still only good enough for third place against the AI, and I was concerned this was going to be slow, but then after the session it turned out that that was actually 445th in the world and in top 5%, so yeah, I mean, I'd have taken that every day of a week beforehand, so after all that worrying whether I was any good, I was fine. And I was on pole in my race as well. So, could we get a good start? Let's find out. So, turn 1. Need to be careful here. You see we've got red arrows at the bottom and the guy next to us has got a slightly better start, so give him a bit of room. We go wide, fair enough. Going to get a warning, fair enough. but he is still on our inside. So again, let him have the corner and try and see if we can duck under him and get a better run down the not quite straight. So we do, and we've got a good run here. We've got a slipstream, go for the outside, he covers us, we then go for the inside. Unfortunately, this is going to be the outside of the hairpin, so again, we're going to see if we can get the switch back, brake nicely. He goes a little bit deep, but we don't get the best traction out of that corner, unfortunately, and he's able to accelerate away from us. And there's not really much chance to get through anywhere for the rest of the lap. I mean, you can get through there if you're particularly bold, but through the stadium section, it's just not really going to happen. So all I wanted to do was try and keep on his tail. So we're 6/10 down going into the stadium, and we're going to go through the Sachs curve, and we're going to probably run a little bit wider than we'd like, and just, I don't know, we just didn't really have a great final sector here. Going through there, not really on the throttle, probably turned in a little bit early there and didn't get on the throttle too much, and we are now just over a second behind. And we didn't want to be more than a second behind, because that was going to cost us at the end of lap 2 and the start of lap 3 when the DRS got enabled. We're 1.1 seconds behind now. We didn't want to get cut adrift, we wanted to get back in that DRS zone. You can see also the cars behind are now 7 seconds adrift already, so it's looking like it's between me and Nando Forestieri. I'm not sure if that's Fernando Forestieri of Sheffield Wednesday fame, but let's assume it is. So, end of lap 3, and we've now dropped off to 2.2 seconds behind, and we were really pushing quite hard to try and get back in, already 2.8 off, and unfortunately for us, we kind of semi-Vettel it at the Sachs curve and go into the gravel. Not ideal. We had one more lap till our pit stop, so we weren't coming in there, didn't want to end up in dead tyres towards the end. As you can see, Nando ahead is doing fastest lap after fastest lap, and I've just done a lap 4.1 seconds slower, so 6.6 seconds off. And Jeff was telling me to pit at the end of the lap, so I did. Jeff knows everything, maybe. So we came into the pits, and we knew it wasn't really going to cost us too many positions because there was such a massive gap behind us. So we lost a place to Tim Revenge. Not sure who's getting revenge on there, but hey ho. And King Arthur Lex was going to get us, but there was a nice bit of clear air behind him, and my idea was just to whack it onto Rich, use a bit of ERS, and see if we can do some kind of really ambitious undercut. And it kind of looked like it might work, because my Sector 2 was purple, so that was good, and I was feeling quite ambitious on these tyres. It was nice to be on some tyres that actually had some grip for a change. So we came round here, and we could see that the cars ahead were all now pitting. So there's King Arthur Lex pitting from what was 3rd position. And you can see a couple of dots in the pit lane. Now I was expecting to be miles behind Nando, but he's actually come out in 3rd place behind Tim. And I don't know what's happened there. I can only assume maybe he's made a mistake, maybe crashed into some back marker or something like that, but found ourselves leading the race here, and handily, 4.2 seconds ahead of Tim, who himself was 5.7 seconds ahead of Nando. So yeah, this is looking pretty promising, but the cars behind were always going to be catching me, and we were catching AIs ahead, 10 of them in this race, and lapping them is always fun. So we go past Ashley Giles and Andy Murray, thank you very much guys. We then had Roma 17 who disconnected. The disconnected AI doesn't really seem to let you through as much, so I had to go for a bit more of an aggressive there. Usually when you force them out of the way, they get out of the way, but they don't do it of their own accord. And it was really pot luck where you caught the AI. I mean, in this case, I've got past them on a straight, that's great, and I get DRS, that's even better. So that's a good AI to have. But when you catch them through the second half of the lap and they're battling it out, they just get in the way, and sometimes they'll just lift in corners. So there you go, he's kind of just done that, but the car in front hasn't decided to let me go through, and they decide to do it here instead, so they just let me go through there. And it's nice that they're letting me go through, and they're not hitting me off the track or anything, but you know, I mean, sometimes I had to get a bit more forceful as well and preempt them getting out of the way, as I did with John Barnes there. So yeah, not too bad, but it had started to cost me some time. So Tim was now only 0.972 seconds behind, so he was going to be getting DRS at some point. I did try and break the DRS by going really fast through sector 1, but it didn't quite work, as you'll see in a second when we go past the timing sector, and it's 0.8 seconds now, so quite the opposite. So I'm going to use what I've got left available to me, rich fuel, overtake, and it saves me on this occasion. 0.8 seconds probably a little bit too far behind, although we do have another car in front of us to lap, so that could become a bit of a factor. Fortunately, it wasn't an AI, it was Guccio, and he let us through, which was really nice. Well, I say us, let me through, but on closer inspection it looks like he may not have been quite as friendly to Tim behind, as he was half a second behind when we crossed the start-finish line, but when we got to the end of sector 1, the gap had now extended back up to around 9/10. So again, although he's almost certainly got DRS behind me, he's too far back to do anything about it. So lap 16, we've just about managed to survive, and now we're going to have to try and survive lap 17. The one thing I did know though is that Tim had a penalty. I didn't know how much of a penalty, I just knew he had one, so it's a minimum of 3 seconds. I didn't want to win on penalties though, I wanted to win on the track, so defence was the key here, or at least it would be if I didn't get smashed from behind for no apparent reason. So we try and recover nice and quickly, no damage, but Tim has overtaken us and just driven off into the distance. Here's a replay from the highlights. It doesn't really show a huge amount because it's too far zoomed out, but you can see he doesn't even really seem to go for it, he just seems to drive into the back of my car and then cuts that corner as well for good measure. So I don't really know what was going on there. Did he just outbrake himself? There was no lock-up or anything like that, but I was quite annoyed at this point, as you can imagine. But fortunately, at the end of sector 1, I was still only 2.7 seconds behind Tim, and as we know he's got a penalty at the moment, that's a minimum 0.3 second lead for me. So we had to try and do a very good last 2 sectors here to keep within 3 seconds, because when that penalty gets added, we'll see what happens. So sector 2, we're 2.792 seconds behind. Going through the last couple of corners, you can see I've got medium ERS. Didn't really want to go too high on it at this point because I didn't want to spin off or anything. But as soon as we're getting to the last corner, we're going to whack that up in an overtake. We're going to put the rich fuel on and just see if we can smash it over the line. And it looks like we've done it. So that was a relief, because if I'd managed to lead pretty much, well over half a race and then get beaten by someone who bumped me off the track on the last lap, that would have been quite difficult to take, I think. But instead, here we are. I'm celebrating my first win in a weekly event race. Don't really win many races online, regardless of whether it's weekly events or league races or anything like that. So, I'm very happy with that. If we look at the final standings, you see that actually in the end I won the race by 1 3/4 tenths of a second. Doesn't really get much closer than that. And in terms of the score I achieved for this race, it's 342,225 points. Could maybe have got a slightly better time score if I hadn't been off the track, but given that gave me 147th in the world so far and puts me in the top 1%, I'll take that. No questions asked whatsoever. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, then don't forget to hit the like button, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, then hell, what have you got to lose by doing so? Absolutely nothing. And let me know in the comments what you think of the weekly events. Do you like them? Do you not like them? I think they're really good. I think they're a really good addition to F1 2019. One of the things that they've added for this game that works for me. So let me know. And let me know how you're getting on around Germany as well, if you've done this weekly event as well. Keen to know what scores you've got. But until next time, and the next video, goodbye.